Well, it is Friday, and I'll be back Monday, yay. Let's take a look at division today. So before I do anything, let's go back and look at division. For example, we're going back to like 4th grade math. 5 divided into 342, all right? So if we're going to divide 5 into 342, 5 does not go into 3, but 5 goes into 34. So I know that 6 times 5 is 30. So I got this times this is 30. Then what I do is I subtract, right? Remember that? Subtract. And then you subtract 34 from 30, and you get 4. And then what do you do next? You bring down the next number. Okay, you bring down the 2. And then you say to yourself, okay, 5 goes into 40 how many times? Well, 5 times 8 is 40, right? So you go 8. 5 times 8 is 40. Subtract. Remember, we're going to subtract. And I get 2. Now, what do you do with this 2? When you're in elementary school, you go remainder 2, but we're not doing that. We're going to say the answer is 68 and 2/5. We take this, what's left over the remainder, over the divisor. So the answer is going to be 68 and 2/5. Now, you know how to do that. That's easy. But what about this? What about if it's x's? It becomes a little bit more difficult, all right? So we're going to set it up the same way. We're going to take the 2x squared minus x plus 2, and we're going to divide it into 8x to the 4th. Now, there is no x cubed term, but I need to have a spot saved for the x cubed term. So I'm going to go plus a 0x cubed. Very important, you'll see later. Plus the 6x squared minus 3x plus 1. Okay? So I have it set up just like the regular division problem, except for its x's. Okay? When I divide, it's really important you guys know that when I divide by the leading term. The leading term is 2x squared. All of these other terms, the negative x and the positive 2, will be used, but we divide by the x squared term, the 2x squared term. So, just like I did before with my other type of division, I'll go the 5 into 34, but in this case I'm going to go my 2x squared into my 8x to the 4th. So, how many times does 2x squared go into 8x to the 4th? Well, if you have a difficult time with that, then what I suggest is you can do a little division on the side. So a little division on the side, you can go, okay, 8x to the 4th divided by 2x squared. Oh yeah, that goes into that. Oh yeah, that's 4x squared, right? So when I divide 2x squared into 8x squared, it goes in 4x squared times. So I put that up here, 4x squared. Okay, now what I have to do in order to figure out what goes down here, I'm going to have 1, 2, 3 terms here. I'll have 1, 2, 3 terms here. I multiply this times the 4x squared times the 2x squared. I'll multiply the 4x squared times the negative x. And I'll multiply the 4x squared times the 2. So what do I get? Well, let's see. I'm going to get an 8x to the 4th. Now I'm going to get a negative 4x cubed. You needed that? Negative 4x cubed. And then a positive 8x squared. Okay. Now I'm going to subtract. Now what I do when I subtract is I like to be careful and I change the signs and add. So when I subtract, I'm going to go subtract that one. I'm going to subtract, okay, watch. I'm going to subtract a negative 4, which means I'm going to add it, okay? And I use a different color to show that I've done that. And I'm going to subtract 6x squared, subtract an 8x. Again, I like to change the signs and in a sense add. Okay, cancels. X cubed plus 4x cubed makes a 4x cubed. 6x squared minus 8x squared makes a negative 2x squared. Alright, good so far. And what we're going to do then is bring down the next term, just like regular long division. Bring down the negative 3x. Now, I need to divide my 2x squared into this. 2x squared needs to be divided into 4x cubed minus 2x squared minus 3x. So I need to divide the 2x squared into this term. Again, divide the 2x squared into the first term here. So how many times does 2x squared go into 4x cubed? Well, it's going to go in 2x times. And again, if you're not sure, do a little division on the side. Say, okay, well, let's see. What is 4x cubed divided by a 2x squared, and what do you know? You get a 2x, right? So I'm going to go positive 2x here. Let me erase all these arrows because I'm going to do the whole thing all over again, right? But with a 2x. So 2x squared goes into 4x cubed 2x times. Now I need to put some numbers down here, some terms down here. So I multiply 2x times the 2x squared, 2x times negative x, and the 2x times 2. Okay, so let's see what happens. So 2x times the 2x squared makes a 4x cubed. 2x times a negative x makes a negative 2x squared. 2x times 2 makes a positive 4x. Alright, now, just like in long division, I'm going to need to subtract. But what I do is, instead of subtracting, I like to change signs. So I'm going to subtract this. I'm going to subtract a negative 2x squared, so it's the same thing as adding it, and I subtract a 4x. So I like to change the signs. I always use a different color to show that I've done that, because it's easy to make mistakes. And now let's subtract. So 4x cubed minus 4x squared, that's just cancels. A negative 2x squared and a positive 2x squared, that cancels. A negative 3x and a negative 3x and a negative 4x makes a negative 7x. Okay, bring down the next term. Alright, 2x squared will not go into negative 7. It will not go into it because this is a higher term. So, as we did in our little division problem here, what we had to do was take the remainder, which was the 2, and put it over the divisor, which is the 5. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take this negative 7x plus 1 and put it over the 2x squared minus x minus 1. So my answer, you ready? Answer turns out to be this. We are going to have a 4x squared plus 2x. Comes from right there. Then we're going to go plus this negative 7x plus 1 over my divisor, which is my 2x squared minus x plus 2. Alright, that is long division. Whew, that is hard. Now, there's an easier way to do some problems. Synthetic division is a really cool little trick, and I'll go through it slowly with you, okay? But synthetic division only works if it's just x plus or minus a number, okay? It would not work for what we just did. You have to have it plain old x plus or minus a number to use synthetic division, okay? So here's how I do synthetic division, okay? You set it up. We're not going to write any of the x's. All we're going to write is the coefficients. So when I do synthetic division, I put an upside down division sign. Okay, I just draw that upside down division sign because then I know I'm doing synthetic division. I'm not going to put a 2x cubed. I'm going to put the 2, just the numbers in front. 2, negative 7. Now there's no x, so it's like a 0x, right? There's no x, so I'm going to put a 0 and the 5. Okay, so I've got my 2x cubed minus negative 7x squared, a 0x, and a 5. So the x's we don't write. Okay, now this x minus 3, if I set it equal to 0 and solved, what I'm going to do is divide. I'm going to put, instead of negative 3, I'm going to put positive 3. So always put the opposite. So what we do is we're going to add the negative, which is like subtracting anyway. So always take the opposite. It says negative 3, put a plus 3. If it had a plus 3, put a negative 3. So it's always the opposite of that number, okay? Now, take a line and draw it right here, okay? And what this line is going to set up is all of the numbers we're going to add or subtract, okay? Okay, so let's back up real quick. I use the opposite number of the divisor. Instead of x minus 3, I put a positive 3. I put the coefficients 2, negative 7, 0 because there's no x term, and then 5. Got it? Draw my line. Now, listen carefully. Here's the first step. The first step is you slide the first number all the way down. Just slide the 2 down. Okay, just slide it down, put the 2 right there. Now, what we're going to do is multiply. Take the 2, we're going to multiply. Alright, so I'm going to go 2 times 3 is 6. Put the 6 right here. And I don't subtract. What I'm going to do is add. And the reason I add is because I've already changed the sign, okay? So I'm going to add. Negative 7 plus 6 makes a negative 1. And then I'll multiply. I get a negative 1 times 3 is a negative 3. And then again, I'm going to add. I'm going to go 0 minus 3 is a negative 3, and again I will multiply. Negative 3 times 3 is a negative 9. Our remainder goes right here. Okay, that's my remainder box. 5 and a negative 9 makes a negative 4. We're almost done. Remember, this problem had to do with x's, so we're going to put the x's back in. So let's rewrite. We're going to rewrite, but we're going to rewrite with our x terms, rewrite with x's. Okay, we're going to rewrite with x's. So, it's always going to be 1 power less. 1 power less than the problem, okay? 1 degree less. So this is an x cubed. So we're going to go 1 power less. 1 power less than the divisor. So this is now going to be the answer. You ready for the answer? 2x squared. Because we took the x's out, we're going to put the x's back in. So 2x squared minus a 1x minus 3, and this is the remainder. So we're going to have a negative 4 plus a negative 4 over again my divisor. My divisor originally was my x minus 3 over my x minus 3. Okay, that's synthetic division. If you do it right, you take your time, it's a lot easier than what we had to do up here, okay? But it only works, synthetic division only works if you have an x plus or minus a number, okay? So turn the page. Here we go. All right, now, hopefully you read something about the remainder theorem. So the remainder theorem is kind of cool because if we've got x plus 2, right? If we set x plus 2 equal to 0, it's x equals negative 2. Okay, so now the remainder theorem says this. If I were to plug in negative 2 into this whole thing, then what the answer is going to be the remainder. So if I plug in negative 2, so if I go p of negative 2, which of course is 3 times negative 2 to the 5th plus 5 times negative 2 to the 4th minus 4 times negative 2 cubed plus 7 times negative 2 plus 3, right? So I'm telling you that all I'm going to get by this is the remainder. It's also a point on the graph, but let's see. So if I plug in negative 2, what do I get? All right, everybody see this? I'm just going to go on, clear that. 3 times negative 2 to the 5th plus 5 times negative 2 to the 4th minus 4 times negative 2 plus 7 times negative 2 plus 3. Okay, boom, negative 19. Okay, so p of negative 2 equals negative 19. That is going to be the remainder. Okay, that's the remainder from division. So if all I'm looking for is the remainder, I don't have to divide. If all I need is just the remainder, I can just substitute in the negative 2. I had to solve for it first. Remember, take the opposite and then plug it in all the way through, and I get the remainder. Now, is that true? Well, let's do synthetic division one more time. Let's prove it, okay? We need a little more practice on synthetic division anyway. So, here we go. So, we're going to do synthetic division. We're going to go ahead and put our little upside down division. I'm going to put my 3, 5, negative 4, 0, because there's no x squared term, 0, because there's no x squared term, so put a 0, 7, and 3. Okay, draw this line under it, because that's where I add and subtract. And instead of putting x plus 2, we put the opposite, we put a negative 2 out here. Okay, go ahead and set that up. I put the coefficients, 3, 5, negative 4. I put a 0 in because there's no x squared term, 7 and 3. I'm going to divide by the opposite, which is the negative 2. Okay, so here we go. Step 1, one more time. Drop down your 3. Slide down the first term. And then multiply. Multiply. So 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Then add. 5 times negative 6 is a negative 1. Then multiply. Negative 1 times negative 2 is 2. Then add. Negative 4 times 2 is a negative 2. Then multiply. Negative 2 times negative 2 is a positive 4. Then add. 0 plus 4 is 4. Then multiply. 4 times negative 2 is a negative 8. And again, add. 7 and negative 8 makes a negative 1. One more time, multiply. Negative 2 times 1 is a positive 2. And then your remainder is 5. Okay. Should have been negative 19. Uh-oh, I might have made a mistake somewhere. Let's see what happened here. Oh, right there. Right there, clear. Ha ha ha, I did make a mistake. You know, and I'm not here for you guys to say, Mr. Davies, you made a mistake. So let's see if I got 5 this time. Let's try it again. 3 times negative 2 to the 5th. Don't you love it when I make mistakes? Plus, oops, plus 5. I know you can't yell at me if I make a mistake because I'm not really here. To the 4th minus 4 times negative 2 to the 3rd. That's what I missed. Plus 7 times negative 2 plus 3 and 5. There you go. It worked. So the remainder, one more time, of 5 is the answer. You get scribble that out and put 5. I know some of you guys are already saying, wait a minute, Mr. Davies. So here's what happened. When I plugged in negative 2, I got 5. And the remainder of division was 5. So the remainder theorem is this. You plug it in, the divisor, you will get the remainder. Whew. Man, I hate making mistakes, but there it is. Okay, example 4 is negative 1 is x minus 1 a factor. And a factor means that basically it goes in evenly, okay? Just like in division. If it goes in evenly, then it's a factor. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to go ahead and do synthetic substitution if we get an answer of 0, if we get a remainder. So if we get a remainder of 0, it is a factor. Get any other number and it's not a factor, but you got to get a remainder of 0. Now there's 2 things we could do. We could do synthetic division and find out what the remainder is, and that's okay. Or we can do the remainder theorem and plug in positive 1. If I plug in positive 1 and I get an answer of 0, then I'm good. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and plug it in. Let's do synthetic substitution. So first of all, x minus 1 equals 0. And if I solve, I get x equals 1. Remember, it's always the opposite. So if I plug in 1, I'm going to go p of 1. Plug it in, I'll go, 1 cubed minus 7 times 1 plus 6. I can do this one actually without a calculator. Pretty sure 1 minus 7 plus 6, and sure enough, it equals 0. Okay, so yes, we know that x minus 1 is a factor. Is a factor. Okay? Nice. Alright, so homework for today. Hopefully you don't make mistakes like I do. Page 273, 8, 29, 33, 41 and 54, 59 and 60. Okay, I'll see you Monday.